Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 39 of On the Flank. I'm one of your hosts, John George, alongside Joe Kirkpatrick. Say hello, Joe.
Hey, everybody.
When it comes to analysis, we are on the flank, Joe. Last week, we didn't release a podcast. I feel like we've had like one other break, maybe.
Yeah, maybe like Christmas or something, but that's probably about it.
Yeah, but this is a break in the middle of the season, just like Overwatch League's doing. We're just copying them. A break's not an original idea here, clearly. So yeah, we just took a week off, mainly because we didn't have too much content, but it also worked out nicely for me because I was a bit busy last week. So yeah, we got a nice little break. What'd you spend your vacation doing, Joe? Since we worked so hard on the flank, you probably
Yeah.
had free time.
I guess this summer I'm taking a summer class, so that's fun. Just got started into that a little bit.
Nice.
Um,
What's the class about? What's it on?
it's immunology for my pharmacy degree. So
Nice.
yeah, pretty
Sounds.
thrilling stuff, really.
Yeah, it sounds really thrilling. I'm jealous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What? Well, it sounds like you spent your time wisely, Joe. I didn't really. I worked hard at my work with Echo Fox. So yeah, we
There you go.
both spent our vacation doing work. So yeah, let's last week, or not last week, last episode, if you guys remember, you listening out there, we recapped the stage 2 playoffs were over, and we're gonna start off the show with a little recap. We give out an MVP every single stage. Last stage, who did I give it to? Bumper, maybe?
Probably
Yeah, and you gave it to Sombra.
to Sombra, the hero. Yeah.
So now we will crown our new MVPs. And Joe, it's all about the San Francisco Shock. They had a perfect stage. They won it all. I mean, they took every map they could. We gotta give it to San Francisco Shock, right? You want to start with yours?
Yeah, it's it's sort of interesting the sort of the tone of voice you're using there. It's like, I mean, we don't have any
Yeah.
choice. Our hands are tied. But yeah, this team that just swept the entire stage. I mean, there's not really many other directions you can go with that. Yeah, so since we just decided we don't care about the rules for our stage MVPs. I'm actually awarding two players here for stage two. It's going to the like superstar headliner tank duo of I guess depending on who you ask is the tank player, but Sinatra and Super from the San Francisco Shock. Obviously, Sinatra's DPS, but between the Reinhardt and the Zarya, of the two of those, that's like arguably the core of the tank line of a GOATS composition, and just the way they've been able to find synergies this season and really grow it together. I mean, they're just both beast players, even over the course of this season. Um, and I don't think anybody would argue if I said that, Shock without those two would just be a completely different team. Or
Yeah.
without one of those two, probably.
Oh yeah. I mean, you talk about a game where everyone thinks it's Korean dominated, but then you have these two guys who I know San Francisco has tons of Koreans on their team, but honestly, this team wouldn't be as good without Super or Sinatra. I personally think Sinatra is currently the top runner for my season MVP right now. I think Sinatra's doing so well and putting out clearly the best stats on Zarya. And I think Super is also the best Reinhardt right now. I think either of them could get MVP. Honestly, I think most of these San Francisco Shock players are going to be competing for against each other if Goats does stay meta, which seems like it will. Um, but yeah, my stage MVP is not either of them though. It is I want to give more respect to the coaches, Joe, to the coaches out there, because I think there are a lot of teams that don't respect the coach position as much as the player position. But I think the San Francisco Shock are proving that a coach is so important. And I think Krusty, their head coach, is by far the best coach in the league. I'm giving him MVP because he deserves more recognition. I wish there were more. I wish we saw the coaches more on camera, Joe. I want a face to these people. You know, I know what Krusty looks like because I follow him on Twitter. I've seen pictures of him. But I want to see him on stage more. I want to see these coaches on stage. I want to see him on camera. I want to see backstage more often. Like, these people are important, clearly, because Krusty led the Boston Uprising to a perfect stage last season, which, in my opinion, is even more impressive because I think Boston Uprising had a lot less talent on the roster than San Francisco does right now. But now he's clearly leading San Francisco to be the best team, the most coherent team, and probably the team that just has an immense amount of teamwork. And that's clearly, when that happens, it's the coach's doing, in my opinion. And all we've heard from like Monty, from all these people who have gotten to sit in scrims with San Francisco and see how they go, see how they do, see how they practice, see how they work, see how Krusty controls things. Like, it seems like Krusty is sort of has his team following his ideals and his strategies the most, and sort of just has the team working super well around his strategies. And Krusty, he deserves this stage MVP, and I think he definitely is the best coach in this league currently. I think it'd be ridiculous if South Korea did not vote him as their World Cup head coach this year, honestly.
It's true. That it is. I keep forgetting that's a thing that's. I guess that's happening right now.
I think it
The
ended. I think you can't vote
nomination
anymore.
process. Oh,
Or I think you can't nominate anymore. I think that ended.
because then it's like top 500 from each region or something can vote, right?
Yeah, so you like all nominate, and then I don't know how it works after that. All I did, and you have to be in your region. So me and you obviously can only nominate for America.
Yeah.
Um, and who did I nominate? I nominated Deepe, the head coach for Gladiators.
Gladiators. Yeah. Good choice.
Yes, I do think he is the best American coach. So I gave my nomination to him. Coaches. We should do a whole episode on just going through every single team's coach and rating them and criticizing them. Criticizing most of them. I think most of them are not that good.
It's it's just hard, knowing or trying to figure out, things from the background. Like you talk about, there just isn't enough exposure to that um, publicly. Anyway, but that's a whole
Yeah.
different conversation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So that's our two MVPs. We got, and that's pretty much our stage two recap right there. We went over standings a couple. Our last episode we went over standings, and stage three starts up sooner than
Uh,
later here.
yeah, a week from Thursday.
Yeah. Which is, it's getting pretty close. That's like 11 days. Um, Thursday, June 6th, with a San Francisco Shock Atlanta Reign. Can Atlanta Reign take down another giant? Wow. Tough schedule. Okay.
That would be insane if it's like, because I think that was probably Atlanta's last two matches, wasn't it, against New York that,
Yep,
that they won. So Atlanta continues the streak and breaks San Francisco's. That would be an excellent way to start stage three.
that would be. And then they play the Titans. Oh my God. This is Atlanta Reign. And then they beat Shock, they beat the Titans, and then they lose to the Dragons the week after. That's
Overwatch
how
League
it's
is
going
an
to be.
anime.
Yep, absolutely. Oh my God, they faced the Dragons, then the Dynasty. I'm curious now. I'm going through their entire stage three schedule. Then they face the Fusion. That's another pretty tough team. Like, this is a brutal, and this is the stage where they have a homestand.
Oh yeah,
But I think they faced some easy teams at the homestand. They faced Toronto,
Toronto and Florida.
and Florida. Yeah, so all their easy matches are saved for their homestand.
Yeah.
Okay. That's nice. Well, the anniversary event, let's get into the news. The anniversary event started. I have yet to log on, but I saw some skins that I would really like. Academy Diva, as a Diva player, Yes, please. Gargoyle Winston's very interesting, very nice. Have you logged on yet, Joe? Have you gotten any skins?
Yeah, and in fact, because it's been up, I think for maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks now. But you do get a free legendary anniversary box from logging in, so guaranteed one legendary skin. I don't think it's guaranteed a legendary anniversary skin, but it's guaranteed at least one legendary skin. Um, so that's cool. I think another one of my favorites is the Toxic Roadhog, that he's got
Oh
like
yeah.
he's suspended in like a vat of acid or something. It's a really weird concept, but it works somehow. Uh, and then of course the May skin that broke the internet more than the Diva one was supposed to.
Hmm.
Um, with it's like Sun Blossom or May or something. I don't know what the name of it is.
Yeah. She has like boba. She has like boba tea in her ice
In
gun.
the Ice Blaster. Yeah,
Yeah, she has bobas. Like if you use like half of your ice blast, you'll see little boba balls floating in your ice blaster.
gotta love the detail.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
Ooh,
yeah,
and Riot Police Brig is also really cool.
oh yes, I just want to do this to get the brig skin from last anniversary event. That's my
Mm.
favorite brig skin.
Is that
I can't remember what
the
it's called.
like Viking one?
No, not the Viking one. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's pretty. It's a like a pretty generic one, but I like it a lot. Any of the break skins where she has blue eyes randomly, I'll take it.
There
She
you go.
like there are two of them where she has blue eyes, I think, and then the other one she has brown eyes. Who would have
Hmm.
thunk her? I wonder. I should look into all these eye
Uh,
color changes.
is it Shield Maiden? Is that the one?
Yeah, Shield Maiden.
Okay. I think that's the one I was talking about. I just had no idea what to call it.
Okay. Yeah, I am actually downloading that update right now, and after this podcast is over and I edit it and put it on the internet, I'm gonna get my free loot box here.
There you go. And they are doing the rotation of old brawls too. So
Oh yeah,
that's listed online somewhere that it's changing every day.
sweet. Anything else? Anniversaries? PTI? Was there any like patch notes? I don't think there were, right? Like
Not
changes.
with not with this live patch, no. It's
Yeah,
just the anniversary event.
that's what I thought. But we do have a
There
PTR
there
patch to talk about.
might have been some like workshop changes or something, I guess,
Oh yeah, I think there were workshop changes, but
but probably just coming from PTR. So
yeah, they added more in this PTR we will be talking about after I talk about this owl skins in the game thing. But yeah, there's this owl skins in the game thing that was announced 4 days ago. That's happening right now. Actually, it just started from May 27th to 31st, and it's basically it's like a competition, um, and they're gonna count who like they're gonna count compare the teams. If you wear like your favorite team's skin in game, it's gonna count towards that team's total point total. And you can also play along on Twitter. Just send a tweet with hashtag MyOwlTeam and tag the account of your favorite team to earn a point for that team. So literally, just you can tweet or you can wear the skin in game, earn a point. So this is just a fan competition to see who's. I mean, not even. I feel like half the people are not even gonna wear their favorite team, but rather their favorite colors,
yeah.
probably. But yeah, and the winning team gets bragging points and an Instagram takeover.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
not much. That's what the winning team gets.
but a
But
little
yeah,
bit more.
it's a cool idea. If nothing else to sell skin tokens, um, but it's gonna be cool. I wish there was like a live leaderboard somewhere. That it sounds like all we're gonna get is they're just gonna tell us whatever team won at the end of the week. It'd be cool to like be able to track and see um, even like the scale of the number of points we're talking about, but also who's winning. But it's still a
Yeah.
cool idea though. They said they're gonna bring it back the week of July 15 through 21, which I think is the week right before Stage 4 starts, which makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's a cool idea.
Yeah, it is. It says keep an eye on Overwatch League Twitter for updates on which teams are getting the most points. So maybe they'll update
Oh,
like every day. I don't know.
there you go. Yeah, I don't know.
They haven't tweeted anything else about it besides the announcement of it, so we'll see. But yeah, I'll have to put one of these skins on. I'll put my gladiator skin on. Go gladiators. Okay, PTR time, Joe. It is
Oh yeah,
PTR time. We got some changes. It has not been confirmed whether or not this is going to stage three. Uh,
yeah. Which
but
just timing wise, I can't imagine that it will, because
yeah,
it's 2 weeks from its release on PTR to when it would have to be in the Overwatch League, and it has, you know, it would have to go to live presumably even before that. But we'll see. Who knows?
yeah.
I,
I
I
mean,
I imagine.
they can always like use the PTR. Like, if I guarantee they know at this point because they're definitely back to scrimming and practicing. Like, I guarantee they know, and if it is using the PTR, they're practicing on the PTR, not live.
It's true. Yeah, I'm sure they've got their own specific competitive patch.
Yeah.
Uh, but my other comment was going to be that if nothing else, I imagine Havana will be in stage 3 in the map pool.
Yes.
But beyond that, it's hard to say.
Yes. Okay. Do you want to? I mean, the big thing here is obviously there's a replay feature. Do you want to go in depth
Yeah,
on this PTR, Joe?
yeah. So we have Overwatch PTR 1.37 is the patch number here. At some point we'll get to 2, but that's probably never going to happen. Um,
Overwatch 2.
yeah, exactly. Number one thing here, obviously, yes, Overwatch replays are a thing that exists now on the PTR. If you were around for the Overwatch World Cup viewer in like October, November, whatever that was of last year, it's basically that, but it's in client, and it's for your 10 most recent played matches, whether it's competitive or quick play, or an arcade mode, or a custom game, or just a match that you spectated. You don't even actually have to have played the match in order to get the replay for it. So that's kind of nice. But you can go in and watch whatever perspectives you want. Speed up, slow down, pause, skip ahead. Um, Use the third person camera, fly around, whatever you want. That's all available to you for any match that you play in. Again, currently on the PTR. Eventually, it will move to live. And the restrictions on it right now is that you only get your 10 most recent matches. So like think the highlights section of where you can like save and sort through your highlights, that it only shows you like the 5 or 6 most recent ones. It's like that, except you can't, at least currently, save your replays or share your replays with anyone, which is unfortunate. I hope they add that. Um, but that's the way we're looking at it right now. And they made a big point of noting that it's going to reset every patch. So presumably, when this PTR is over, you'll you'll lose all your replays that you might have. And once it moves to live, at least the way things are now, you can't save it, so every patch will go away. But it's super cool. I was talking to John, super big, um, coming from a collegiate perspective, super big for collegiate teams, or for like tier 3 teams that, uh, or even the Overwatch League teams. I was watching Jane's stream, and he was acting like this was something that the Overwatch League teams haven't had yet either. Um, it's for pugs or scrims or something to be able to go back and review those. But absolutely huge for teams and for individuals, just to be able to look at you know um, what your deal is, and how to play better, and how to recognize your mistakes and all that. It's gonna be super cool.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
as someone who works for Echo Fox and like can see the scrim room and what's going on, the League of Legends replay viewer is super helpful. I mean, it's like this one exactly. You just go any perspective, anywhere on the map at any point in time, seeing different objectives and stuff like that. Like that's what Overwatch needs. Every game, every competitive game needs that, because the replay's fine from like a video replay, I guess, but you can't. You need everyone's perspective. You need to know exactly what's happening and give your players the best view possible of the play um, and of the map. So this is huge, absolutely huge for anyone who's trying to be competitive in this game, and understanding sort of what went wrong, when it went wrong, all that stuff, and what they should have done differently. Like, replays absolutely huge, and I'm sure they'll add, like you're saying, I'm sure they'll add saving, sharing, all that eventually. It's bound to happen.
Yeah. Like the workshop, I'm sure it's definitely a work in progress as they keep rolling that out. But it's on the PTR now, so you can go check it out, play some matches, mess around with the viewer. It's gonna be good. But
Mm-hmm.
there were also some balance changes. Kind of, some of them are just quality of life changes, but there are some balance changes here on this patch as well. Finally, we haven't had. I think it's been like 2 patches now since we've had any. But starting with Baptiste, his biotic launcher has increased the heal ammo from 10 to 12, so that those are your right-click healing grenades. Um, and so the comment here is just to be able to reload a little bit less often, because usually your healing ammo was your limiting factor um, for the reload. Because again, you don't automatically reload until you run out of one or the other, and not both. And the amplification matrix also got a buff. It's his ultimate, which has been the duration increased from 8 seconds to 10. So it's, I guess, what, 25% increased. So, pretty significant. Gives you a little bit more of a chance to get something out of it. Because, often, if you put it down and you're not in an ideal position, you're super limited with what you can do with it. So that's cool. A little bit of a buff to Baptiste. He's didn't get tons of use in Overwatch League Stage 2. Even though he was introduced to people like, oh, um, he's gonna be the next Brig, and he definitely wasn't that. But a little bit of a buff there is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, you go ahead.
Oh
Were you
no,
gonna say something? Okay.
no, go.
Um, so I was gonna say, oh, then on the other hand, going from Baptiste to Diva, got a really significant nerf. So I think nobody could really argue um, that certainly, at least in the pro scene, that Defense Matrix is the best ability in the game. And it got cut in. It, well, it's a 1/3 nerf. That the length of Defense Matrix, the range off of Diva's mech, has been reduced from 15 meters to 10. Um, so it's Defense Matrix is a very powerful defensive ability and can often feel oppressive from far away. So this will require Diva to position herself more carefully to take advantage of its effects. Um, so yeah, it's sure, it's adding strategy to Defense Matrix use and whatever, but that sort of implies that there wasn't any to begin with. Um, which obviously there was, but yeah, this is just straight up a nerf to a really powerful character and a really powerful ability. Um, it's not. I don't think like Diva was overpowered or something, but to try to uh, try to balance this. It's definitely going to be drastic. I don't know how if anything this will affect Diva's pick rate in the Overwatch League or outside. That's something we'll have to find out for ourselves. But really significant nonetheless. Just with that range nerf to Defense Matrix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Diva's just always been OP. I don't know. It's hard to imagine a world where she's not a really good character. So we'll have to see how big of a. I saw like a tweet that was like Diva mains just mad that they're still gonna have to play Diva, or like our flex tanks still mad that they're gonna have to play Diva, but she's just gonna be worse, basically.
Eh.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out, I guess. So then we'll go on to McCree. who received what people have been calling a pretty significant buff. That his primary fire recovery time has been reduced from half a second to zero point 0.4 seconds, which doesn't sound like much, but again, somebody point out that's that's 80% of the time it used to be, or you could call that a 25% faster. Um, but essentially, it's kind of hard to explain if you just go look at it on the PTR. But the time between shots has been reduced, which also has sort of a side effect of making his recoil a little bit more manageable, and a little bit less of an effect on your aim, which will increase his DPS but not his damage per bullet, um, because of course McCree was famously had low DPS, um, and so so now his primary fire is essentially just more effective over time. So if you have good aim, you're gonna dominate. If you have bad aim, you're right clicking anyway. Um, like I said, with Diva, it sort of remains to be seen exactly how effective this is going to be. Um, there are definitely some pro players that I've seen that are a little bit surprised, a little bit maybe concerned. We'll see about how good this is actually going to be. Um, but yeah, McCree is definitely a solid pick. In fact, I saw somebody compare the DPS now on McCree's just holding down left mouse button to Hanzo's storm arrows, and apparently those are comparable now.
Hmm.
Um, it's talking about how their point was how much people had complained about storm arrows when they were released, and of course they were damage nerfed a little bit, but uh, that this is now just a left click ability with the same TPS is interesting. But
Yeah, that Storm Arrows is on a cooldown. This is nuts.
exactly. So yeah, super strong McCree on the PTR currently. We'll see what happens to him. And then some quality of life changes here. There's a couple for Orisa and Symmetra. Orisa can now put her barrier down without interrupting her reload, which is super nice. She has like the longest reload in the game. And if you're shooting a lot, she's going to need to reload a lot, but also keeping those shields up because that's like the reason that you play Orisa. So now you can do both at the same time. It's cool. It's helpful. Um, Orisa players will thank Jeff, I guess. And Symmetra's teleporter now interact range is a bit larger, from 1 meter to 1.5 meters. And again, it says primarily quality of life. As apparently it was possible to create a teleporter that Symmetra was unable to interact with unless she moved toward it on the live patch, and so they've just increased that range a little bit to prevent that from happening now on the PTR. So that's cool. And then Torbjorn, I think, well, yeah, it was Jeff did an interview with Stylosa over the last week or so, um, that he was talking about in his personal Jeff opinion. Torbjorn was super OP, um, and so this is presumably the nerf that Papa Jeff demanded to Torbjorn's Rivet Gun, his secondary fire. It's the right-click shotgun. Damage per pellet has been reduced from 12.5 to 10.5, down to 105 damage total if you hit every single pellet. Um, it says the combined damage output of Torbjorn's right click with his overload ability was too high, given his recently increased survivability. So, the Torbjorn nerf that we didn't know we needed, the McCree buff we didn't know we needed, that is patch 1.37. There's some. Oh, sorry, no. Because also the 2CP mode was adjusted, which we'll get
Yeah.
into. General bug fixes, general workshop stuff. Um, that's all the same. But the assault mode. So time awarded for capturing point A on all assault maps has been reduced from 4 minutes to 3. And upon losing point A, any defenders that are dead or that die shortly thereafter will have a maximum respawn of 3.5 seconds. Both of which essentially now will just work in the favor of the defenders on 2CP. Which I guess the idea is to try to lower um, average assault map scores. I mean, which again, looking at the Overwatch League, because that's what we do a lot in this podcast, those are often really high. Um, Not, more so on some maps than others, but um, uh, but yeah, to give a little bit less time for capping point A, to go into B, that's again defender's advantage. Um, and then this spawn change is interesting, because essentially what its intent is to make sure that all of the defenders can be together, to defend point B when the attackers come in from A, rather than being able to snowball and get some late kills. Um, get some late kills on defenders that then aren't around to help defend point B, and they can just get the 2 points in sequence. But now with this change, they'll have only a respawn of 3.5 seconds, so they're going to be able to be back and defend at 6. Um, the intent is practically guaranteed every time. We'll see if that's the way it works out or not, um, but yeah, so some defender buffs essentially on 2CP. Um, hopefully to shake up that mode a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think I previously mentioned that I do like high scoring 2CPs. In Overwatch League, when I'm playing, I don't, because then it takes forever. Um, but I enjoy watching them, but I totally love this change to basically get rid of snowballs. That 3.5 seconds maximum respawn when capturing it is fantastic, because one of the most dissatisfying things as a viewer of Overwatch League when my team that I'm rooting for has a fantastic hold on point A, but it doesn't matter really, because like, even if they drain the entire clock of 4 minutes, the team will take point A, snowball onto point B, and still have tons of time left in the time bank despite such a good defense. Like, that's just so frustrating as a viewer to watch my team just defense not get rewarded at all, basically. So I think that'll help for sure. I think that situation is very much fixed. I like the
Yeah.
change.
And so
Especially,
that, go
yes.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was
I'm
just
done.
saying, so
Thought's done.
that then is PTR 1.37. It's been up for like 4 days probably. Um, we have yet to see if it's going live or not, or if it'll
Yeah,
be in stage 3. But we'll find out. Hopefully, this coming week we can report on it for our next show.
that would be God. That would be just such a tease if they did this like basically right before stage 3, like just 1 week too late before stage 3.
So, yeah,
I really hope they do it, but especially the assault changes. I like the assault changes a lot. The nerfs and buffs. I don't think it'll do much to goats. I think it'll make bunker a little bit stronger. Because of Orisa
yeah,
and Baptiste. But I honestly, like, Taimu tweeted this, that bunker's worse than goats, and I agree. But I'm more of a fan of watching goats. I do like watching goats, especially when it's Titans shock. Like, it's so much fun to watch two teams who are almost perfect at this composition go head to head, and just see like little mistakes meaning so much. Like, it's just fun to watch something like that, in my opinion. But I don't find bunker fun to watch, really. I don't enjoy watching Bastion too much. It's
yeah,
funny, but it gets boring after a while. Um, so yeah, well, I don't agree with the. I don't want Bunker to become strong either. I would like like I like the McCree buff. I would like Soldier to be buffed more. I like stuff like that. I do like sniper meta. Taimu also said he didn't like sniper meta, but I like sniper meta. Um, but yeah, anything else to say about the PTR patch, Joe?
I don't think so. Other than people are making crazy workshop stuff still.
Yeah, thank
I,
God.
I saw a well, I showed you sometime in the last 2 weeks. Somebody made a
Mhm.
game mode where you can play Uno, like the card game in
Yeah,
Overwatch with, I think it was like up to all 12 players can play Uno.
yeah.
Or I saw one earlier that you could like 3D paint with Symmetra's beam and do fun stuff
Oh
like
my
that.
God,
But
this is fantastic.
it's crazy.
There's gonna be an amazing mod game that comes out of this. That's gonna become an official game. Everybody knows it. That's how the MOBA was born. That's how Auto Chess is a super popular mod of Dota 2 right now. That like Valve is making into an official game now. Like it's gonna happen. But yeah, the next piece of news, I'm still having trouble believing. Like honestly, I woke up super groggy. Woke up in like at like 8 a.m. I've had like an exhausting weekend because my family came to visit me and we've been doing so much. So I woke up after like a full day of just like hiking and all this stuff. Super groggy, 8 a.m. I read this tweet from Nate Nanzer, uh, saying, I'll just read the tweet here. Hey, Overwatch League family, I wanted to share that soon I will be leaving Blizzard for a new opportunity. This has been the toughest decision of my life because it means I won't get to work with the best staff, players, teams, owners, partners, and fans in esports anymore. That's his first of four tweets. I'll get into the other four tweets later, but my God, Joe, I couldn't believe in the middle of the season, this guy who's basically been the face of Overwatch League is gone. He's just gone. Um, Man, it's tough. And this didn't come out in the morning either. I don't know how I saw this came out at like 7:07 at night. I guess I just didn't check Twitter that night. Um, but but man, I was kind of devastated because I thought Nate was he was the dude, but apparently he didn't tweet about it. But he is leaving to go to Epic Games to work on their esports stuff with Fortnite, and Epic also owns Rocket League and Rocket League esports now because they bought. How do you? I forget the company's name. Psychonaut.
Like psionics.
Psionics. Yeah,
Yeah.
Psionics. So their two esports sales are Fortnite, which desperately needs a Nate Nanzer, and Rocket League, which honestly just needs more marketing. I think because I think that's a good esport. Um, but yeah, what do you think of this? Let's get initial reactions before we go deeper, because he has some more tweets.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised too. I know lots of, the sort of the general Reddit consensus was that, oh, he'd just been bought out and he was, uh, just following the money, which, on the one hand, would be unfortunate. That's it's definitely true. Um, whether, like you said, we'll sort of get into it, but whether um, he actually did as many things as it seems like he did or not. He's definitely one of the biggest faces in what's been a super successful league now for a season and a half. Um, and yeah, to come down in the middle of the season and uh, and head off in this completely different direction. Even after all these plans, they've even got into season three and all this. It's an interesting choice. It's um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's about all I got.
I mean, I can only imagine the amount of money that Epic Games offered him because they are like they've got Fortnite, obviously super successful game. Fortnite esports scene, super unsuccessful, and tons of outrage from everybody about it. Excuse me. So, yeah, I don't know. I think they have a lot of money to give him, and I think they would like. I don't know if necessarily they want competitive Fortnite. I think everyone's saying it's going to be Fortnite. It's going to be Fortnite. I think maybe they want Rocket League a little bit more, because from what I've seen in Fortnite so far, all that Epic has wanted to do with the Fortnite esports scene is promote Fortnite, the game, and like make them fun. It feels more like the WWE almost. Like it's not really competitive. Like it feels like entertainment rather than a competition. So I don't know if they're completely switching because they've come out and said that's their mindset towards Fortnite is it's just more entertainment. So I don't know if they're flipping the switch and they want it to be competitive or what they're gonna do with it. But I know Rocket League has always been competitive and they want it to be a competitive league. And I think Rocket League would benefit from a lot of what Overwatch League did, which is city-based teams and stuff like that. But yeah, we have more tweets. I mean, the follow up tweets make me feel better about him leaving because he mentions I get way too much credit for the success of Overwatch League. It's been awesome to be our public face, but too many overestimate my role in making the league great. It isn't about me. It's never been. It's all about you. And he says that's why I'm confident the league is in great hands. I can't wait to see where the team takes Overwatch League in 2020 and beyond. So those tweets make me feel a little bit better that there's a team around Nate that was helping him extremely, and I can imagine him as a commissioner who wasn't necessarily the boss of everybody, you know. So I think that's totally believable, and I hope it's in it's in good hands. I believe they have a replacement commissioner already, right, Joe? Did you hear about this?
Yeah, with that, a temporary something. Somebody from
Fox
Blizzard
Sports.
came in and oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, yeah. It's like but he was already overlooking the league. Um, he was already overlooking the league, and it was someone from Fox Sports who was overlooking the league, and he came over to be the commissioner now. And I think he tweeted about it maybe. I don't know where I'm gonna find this news or where I saw it. It was on Twitter. I'm on the Wikipedia page right now for some reason. Acting like this is okay. Yes, it is on the Wikipedia page. Pete Vlest Vlestelica, the CEO and president of Activision Blizzard Esports. Okay. Jeez, I'm all of a sudden have a tickle in my throat. But yeah, Joe, I mean, some people, this is the next question I want to ask because some people are saying Overwatch League is dead. That's why Nate Nanzer's leaving. And apparently there are tweets that there are a bunch of other Overwatch League people leaving. Do you think that's happening, Joe? Do you think it's dead and that's why everyone's leaving? Or, I mean, it's not even confirmed other people are leaving yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd be pretty surprised. I mean, if that was the case, um, just because of all the money that's in things right now, and all of the you did like I mentioned before, all the plans that have been made, and all the excitement that's I think just building. I mean, from the Dallas homestand this stage, and plans for venues and home games and travel and all that fun stuff going into next season. I'd be surprised if all of a sudden um, it was just sort of given up by whatever uh, whatever populace we're talking about here. Um, the, anything's possible and whatever, but I'd be pretty surprised.
Yeah, me as well. Especially next year, I mean, next year's the big year. You know, it
Yeah.
is the it is the year they finally go with home games and stuff like that. I do believe that Nate wasn't as big as we thought. I know he was the public face, the boss. He was the one who came up with the idea, but I feel like the execution was probably like he's saying with a bunch of other people and a huge team of people. So I think this isn't that bad. I think there were better opportunities for him, possibly pay cuts at Blizzard, especially with that big firing with Activision and all this stuff that's happening over there. Um, I imagine that Epic Games like contract was just like too good to turn down almost. So yeah, rest in peace, Nate Nanzer. We'll miss you. You were a great commish. But yeah, I mean, I still think it's in good hands. So we'll see. Hopefully our new commish is as good of a public face. Honestly, Pete, let's see what he's got. Maybe he'll show up on the in the first week of stage 3 on Watchpoint or something. But yeah, let's move on to Toronto Defiant, picking up two contenders players, Shark and Gods. My main man Gods, he's finally back, or he's finally in the Overwatch League in general. This guy, I've been following him for a very long time. He's a hilarious streamer. He's a hilarious dude in general, and he finally has made his way to the Overwatch League. He used to be like a DPS main, but he has been such a flexible guy. He's now a flex player. If you don't know, he used to be on NRG, the big NRG team with Harblue and Siegel and all the famous people on it. I don't know if he was on that team actually, but he was on it with Siegel. And he was on Cloud9 at one point. He's been all over the place. He's been all over contenders. He's in Gladiators Legion, and he moved to that Montreal Rebellion team from Gladiators Legion this past contender season, and he has now finally made his way up to Overwatch League alongside Shark. Who,
Speaking of Toronto, real quick,
yeah,
that was the other comment about Nate Nanzer's announcement. They said, "Well, you know what? I'm 37. Is going to complete the speed run." Uh,
yes,
he's headed up to the new commissioner, but we'll see what happens.
yeah. It's looking like Pete already has that spot. I'm sorry, I'm 37. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I mean, we've got two new players for Toronto, always, which is interesting because Joe, their entire roster is Korean.
I
These
was
two players, not Korean.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's probably the one of the most significant things to think about this. It's not, I guess it's not a trade, but this promotion here for the team is that, yeah, they're coming up into um, what, until then was an all Korean roster, and they've still got a week. Maybe these changes were made, in preparation for something else, or maybe they're gonna, they've got enough confidence in them to try to integrate them into this full roster. We'll have to see if they make, stage 3 debuts or not. But brings them up to, looks like 10, 10 players total. So a few more. Like we've said for a lot of teams, it gives them a little bit of flexibility. So there's something to be said for that. Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they use these resources they've got now.
yeah. I think Envy's pretty. I don't know if Gouts could replace Envy. Yakpung's been okay. So we'll see. We'll see if they use them at all. I know Bishop. Bishop is he speaks English super well. He was Cloud9's previous coach, so he primarily used to work with English players. And Gods was actually one of those players. So um, I guarantee he would be the guy to be able to integrate these two players into this all Korean roster pretty well if we see them at all. But I mean, I would love to see new looks from Toronto. They've been average, so I would love to see new looks, new players as much as they can get. Anything else to talk about these two? I mean, Shark, he's a Latvian player. He's played for Team Russia during the World Cup.
I wonder if he's
Um,
the first Latvian player in the league.
Probably. I looked at, or if you click Latvian players, yeah, he's the only. There's a coach for second generation who's Latvian. Um, what is that? That's a North American contenders team, second generation. And then there are
Uh,
two others listed on Liquipedia, but they're not on teams. So, yes, he is the only one in Overwatch League. First Latvian player, Joe.
there you go.
Fantastic. Let's move on to Mayhem Academy disbanding um, for next season, which is crazy because this. I mean, we talked about this because a couple of their players got traded to the Valiant, right?
Yeah,
And this was right before the Atlantic Showdown. This is right before the Atlantic Showdown, where the Mayhem are there, right?
I'm not
Mayhem Academy.
not
I
sure the
think they
timeline. I
are.
don't know.
I think they are in it because um, they had a good contender season with a really good team. They were the first team to beat Fusion University.
It's true.
Um, so they had a good team. No, I don't think they are actually. So never mind. This isn't that big of as big of a deal. It's Fusion University, Team Envy, and Atlanta Academy are in the Atlantic Showdown,
Uh,
which starts May 31st, which is very soon this week. But yeah, it's been a weird journey for Mayhem lately, Joe. It's been a real interesting decision process, especially when Ben Spoon, their owner, has sort of tweeted about not having Korean roster, and now they have two Korean roster, all Korean rosters probably. So
yeah, they said the comment in the press release. It's in combination with our commitment to the new roster direction and the Valiant trade. Responding to that is why they're um, putting the contenders team on hiatus. But yeah, it's this. I don't know. The trying to put yourself in the mind of a mayhem staffer is um, probably more chaos than it's worth. I think.
mhm. Yeah. God, just all bad news about the Mayhem lately. But maybe, I mean, it just stinks for all these players too, who just it's Mangachu. Like these players are good. They just had a good contender season. Doesn't matter. They're all off team. So hopefully they'll all get picked up. But yeah, we move on to topics now. Gregory made the Times 2019 Next Generation leaders list. Gregory, our own Gregory. Um, it's pretty crazy. Like this list is filled with some pretty cool people. We got an Overwatch League player right in there. I mean, she hasn't been able to get too much playing time lately. Um, she definitely did at the start of the season, but she's a fantastic player, and I can't think of anyone more deserving of it because I mean you got to say it. Esports is predominantly male, when honestly their females can easily be as good as males in these games. So um, hopefully more girls take inspiration from Gregory and know that they can be in Overwatch League. They can do stuff like this, you know, Joe?
Absolutely, yeah. There was a pretty nice write up. I think you could probably just Google, time next generation leaders and find that about her and the way she came up into the Overwatch League and all that. But yeah, that's I just saw that on Reddit and thought that was cool to mention. Um, that as much as we like to act like esports is this whole developed and established industry, that in other ways it's decidedly not. And so having role models and standout figures is really cool, and having them recognized by quote unquote the larger public is really good.
Yeah, I mean, she was so good in Korean solo queue. I remember they legit thought she was cheating. Like she was like one of the best. Like they were like, no, this doesn't happen. This is like male dominated. Like she must be cheating. Like no, she's not. um, it's super cool though to see her on that list and see esports in general too. So yeah, always great to see people who make esports great because there are tons of role models in this field, like you're saying. Like there are so many people who work so hard and overcome like diversity issues and stuff like that to be here. So it's great. It's always great to see people on lists like that. This I think Nate Nanzer was on like a 30 under 30 list for Forbes and stuff like that. Like it's cool to see that.
Eh.
Um, Mid-season power rankings. We're here, Joe, for the power rankings. We do a power rankings. We did one preseason. We did one after stage one. We're doing one after every stage. We're doing one after stage two. Right here, right now. Let me pull up this image. All right, I have it up now. So how did we do it last time? What do we want to do this time? We didn't even count down last time. I feel
Yeah,
like we need to count down.
yeah, I think last time we did like, since it's sort of just like the notable ones that had changed or our differences. I did note here we sort of created our own tiers though. That our power rankings are different, but we have four identical tiers that are the same.
Hmm.
1 through 6, 7 through 13, 14 through 17, and 18 through 20. So maybe we break it down that way and talk about some of those teams.
Sure. You want to start with 18 through 20? Because let's just start with the obvious ones here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have Houston, Washington, Florida, 18 through 20. Only difference is I have Washington higher than Houston. Um, do you want to debate that, I guess?
I
what?
mean, yeah, so the three worst teams in the league, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's gonna come up here as we talk about lots of the other teams. But again, these are sort of predictions made based on results of stage two and looking ahead to stage three. But unfortunately, right now they're looking to be very very similar,
Hmm.
and with the way that these bottom slate teams were performing. It's hard to be able to justify very much higher rankings if nothing changed with the team, nothing changed with the game. You can't really expect much different results.
Yeah, I mean the reason I have Washington one higher is I think things are looking up more for them. I mean, they're at least they're making changes. Houston's doing nothing. I
Yeah,
mean, they can't do it. They can't do anything because they're I mean, if people out there haven't heard Optic, they're the company or the esports organization that owns Houston is selling all their everything they owned to probably Immortals. It's not done. It's not a done deal yet, and Immortals owns the Los Angeles Valiant. So the reason it isn't a done deal yet is the there someone can't own two teams in this league. That would be a little weird and unfair. So they have to figure out who's going to take over the Houston Outlaws. So they can't like do. They don't have money to do anything really. They could only drop players. That's all they could do. So they can't change anything, and I think that's just well, Washington is changing a lot, and they're adding a lot, and they want to get better. So that's why I have Washington a little higher. But at Houston, I would have. I mean, it's close. Houston has tons of talent too, and they've shown they were close to beating Vancouver. They showed that they could compete with Vancouver and stuff like that. But yeah, anything else to say about our bottom tier?
um, yeah, nothing really comes to mind, I guess. But if we,
Yeah.
if we move on, our next one goes 14 through 17. But both of us, in whatever order, we have Los Angeles Valiant, Toronto Defiant, Paris Eternal, and the Guangzhou Charge.
So we agree on the ordering, or I guess no, it's a little different. But the biggest difference here is I have Valiant a lot higher than you do. You have Valiant at 17. I have them at 14. Um, and then for me, following Valiant, I have Toronto, Guangzhou, Paris. You have 14 Toronto, then Paris, Guangzhou, then Valiant.
Yep.
Um, so I guess the main thing here is well, first of all, for me, Guangzhou dropped 9. We both have Guangzhou at the same spot, but that's because I had Guangzhou ridiculously high. But also Valiant. So let's talk Valiant. I mean, if you've listened to the podcast, you know that I'm pretty high on Valiant, and I am like I'm ridiculously talking about how Valiant can still make playoffs, and they might. Um,
Yeah. I mean, no team has 14 losses yet, so
yeah,
they could all actually. I don't know. You'd have to do some
that
math.
doesn't.
You'd have to do some math to figure out if they could all still
Yeah,
finish with a winning record, but they probably can't. But still, it's theoretically
yeah,
possible.
it is, and Do you think they even have to finish with a winning record to make it to 12th place?
Oh, that's true. I guess
Prob
that is all it is. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. But obviously it's going to be very hard after their horrible start. But I do think they're getting better, and I do think the talent's still there. I mean, I talk about it like every week. I feel like the Valiant, I think, are just going to get better and better as they finally get their stuff together here. They clearly didn't have it together at all in stage one, but last stage was better.
Yeah, you know, this team it's got to be they've got to be on their way up eventually. They're too good a team to be performing the way they are. I think that's fair to say.
Yes, I would agree. Do we have anything I mean, Toronto. We talked about this a lot more last power rankings because I think it was more notable last power rankings because they were still super high in the standings,
Yeah,
but
because they were
they
in finals, but we ranked them so low. Yeah,
yeah they went 5-2 in stage one, and we ranked them like 14 last in our last power rankings, which is a big difference in standings. This one's a lot closer to where they are in the standings now, so I think there's less explanation needed for Toronto. We both think they're average.
yeah,
Um, and Paris and Guangzhou, I think both teams having, especially surrounding the hype that Paris gave themselves was ridiculous, and compared to how they're performing, and the Guangzhou, I don't know what's happening. Do you know what's happening with Guangzhou, Joe?
yeah.
What is going on?
I kind of had, I think there were a couple weeks in stage two. I picked them to win some matches, and I think they had, it's relatively clear that they have the ability to. But yeah, for whatever reason. Oh, and I seem to recall they had a really difficult stage two too, though. Um,
Yeah,
I'm pulling this up. They played Shock twice, and Gladiators. I guess those were their three biggest matches. They played
well,
Shanghai twice in a row in stage three, as well as LA Valiants, Toronto, Washington. These are more winnable matches, I think, for them
yeah,
for sure. And then Chengdu and Seoul in week one. But
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
they've gotten all their Shock and Vancouver games out of the way because stage one they played Vancouver twice, and
there you
they
go.
just they've just had ridiculous schedules so far. But yeah, I mean, if they had an easier schedule, they would probably not be that much higher. Honestly, they've been underperforming. But yeah, that's it for like that tier, I think. Unless you have anything else to say. Next tier
Um,
is pretty big.
yeah, I was just saying, next one's the interesting one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's basically it for there.
Yeah, but next tier is 7 through 13. Lots more teams in this one. Hangzhou. I'll just read. This is my so 7 is Hangzhou, then Shanghai, Dallas, Philadelphia, Boston, Chengdu, Atlanta. Those teams. That how many teams is that? Seven.
I think
Seven
so. Yeah.
teams. Those 7 teams we have all in our 7 through 13. Um, Biggest differences probably Hangzhou, I guess. A little different. I have Hangzhou up at number 7, which is an eight difference. I had them at 15 before. Jeez, I had 15 last time, and I brought them all the way up to 7. They're my new Guangzhou, I think, Joe.
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
for me, they were at 16 and moved up to 11. So I mean,
yeah,
it's it was a good showing stage two. That's definitely true.
yeah. Two, I do not to disclose. I do not look at my last stage power rankings at all when I'm making my new one. I just look at like standings and stuff like that. So I literally I just get what my differences are when Joe makes the graphic. So I just do it based off who I think's the best at the time. But yeah, Joe, we didn't read Joe's off yet. Joe's is 7 is Dallas, then Philadelphia, then Shanghai, then Atlanta, then Hangzhou, then Boston, then Chengdu. So our biggest difference is Hangzhou. I think Hangzhou's a little better than you do. You have them at 11. I have them at 7.
Yeah,
You think Dallas is a little better than I do?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say these mid-season power rankings we're doing, they fit the pattern so far. I think I seem to recall even preseason and certainly the power rankings we did after stage one, just of having a giant like middle tier in the league. Like the top teams are pretty clear, and the bottom teams are pretty clear. Um, but uh, yeah, but beyond that, we have this giant middle tier, and there's lots of parity and there's lots of consistency. You know, I mean, Atlanta had some pretty good flashes to the stage. I mean, that's not uh, you, you know, you can't really debate that. Dallas had a really great stage. Philly, you know, lacking a little bit. You know, I brought them down from 4 to 8. Um, in these power rankings, which is unfortunate because you know I am a Philly fan still. Uh, but yeah, Shanghai looking good, making their first playoffs ever. It's super even really through here. Um, yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and Philly was 4 for me too. They went down to 10 for me, so that's -6. That's another huge change. But yeah, I mean Philly runs off of like sometimes they're an inconsistent team. I feel like because they got into the playoffs as a 6 seed last year and they made it to the finals. So they're I mean they're not the most consistent team, but they've got some talent. So for Philly, it's just about getting hot at the right moment. But right now they do not look hot.
Yeah,
But yeah, the other interesting thing about this is like this is basically the wild card slots, along with 13 with the 13 seed as well. Um, but 7 through 12 are going to be the teams in the wild card playoffs fighting for those last two spots in the playoffs. So I think that's pretty fitting that our tiers worked out that way. Um, so yeah, it'll be. I mean, based off our power rankings right now, I have Hangzhou and Shanghai getting those final two spots, and Joe has Dallas and Philly.
yeah.
So four completely different teams. So it's pretty up for grabs. If you take a look at our collected thoughts here, I mean, yeah, you have all these teams. I think it could be any one of these teams. Honestly, Atlanta has shown that they can beat New York, so of course they can make it. Chengdu has shown that their style is super effective against a bunch of teams, not as effective against others. Um, and Boston, of course, Boston has the potential to grab anything. Like all these teams are pretty good. Do I think that they're top tier? No, because I think they do get crushed pretty consistently by San Francisco, Vancouver, and New York, except Atlanta. They don't get crushed by New York. But yeah, anything else to say about this middle tier? I mean, we didn't have. It's not too. We didn't have too many big differences here.
Yeah, not really. You know, biggest variance, biggest group. They're the exciting ones to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And then our top six are. We have all the same teams here, but we have a little bit of differences. I have San Francisco at 1, Vancouver at 2, New York at 3, Gladiators at 4, London at 5, and Seoul at 6. Joe has the same top two, San Francisco and then Vancouver, but we have a switched because he has LA at 3, New York at 4, and then he has Seoul at 5 and London at 6. Um, yeah, those are so. I mean, I think those being the top six teams, I think you could. I don't know. Could you fit someone? I mean, Hangzhou just did beat Seoul, but I think as far as talent goes, I think everyone thinks these are the top six teams.
Yeah, I think you know, after stage one, basically the only team that wasn't really in that discussion that now has been after stage two is probably London. But just the way that they were able to turn up in stage two, and again with the way with how similar stage three is looking like it's going to be, you know, I think they're going to have success again. Um, but yeah, these other teams, I mean, you know, Gladiators over New York, I guess that's a hot take. I don't know. You know, it's I trust them less and less in clutch situations. I mean, obviously they're going to be good teams and they're going to be you know, a good team consistently, but as far as trying to actually determine where things are, that's like my one qualm with them. And in fact, we won't see Gladiators New York play until the first week of Stage 4, unless it is in stage playoffs again. And I guess they did at the end of in Stage 2 playoffs, right?
Yeah,
Gladiators New York, yeah.
that's the only reason I had Gladiators lower is they disappointed me.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it
and
definitely could have been done, which
yeah,
is
I
which is
agree.
the fun part about some of these playoffs. But
Well, yeah, I think the Gladiators and New York have like similar issues because the Gladiators have also they never won a stage playoff or a regular playoff game, unless you count that game one against London, but they lost the overall series. I mean, I think Gladiators have some choke potential too there. So I do agree that Gladiators could have done it. They just didn't look. They did look kind of choky. But yeah, they. I also want to see Gladiators against because they have faced the Shock once, and they beat the Shock. But we actually do get to see Week One, Stage Three, Vancouver Titans versus Los Angeles Gladiators. That's the last game of the week,
mm,
so we have yet to
that's
see that, and
that's
I'm
gonna be cool
excited. Yeah. So I do want to see some more Gladiators versus Shock and Vancouver, and also because well, when the Gladiators and Shock faced off the first time, I think both of those teams were extremely different. I think both teams have gotten much better since that game, so it'll be interesting to see that when it happens again, which I think is no, it's not that. It's not the LA weekend because Valiant plays the Shock and the Titans play the Shock. God, I'm so excited for that weekend. That weekend is stacked.
yeah.
But
Last week
yeah,
of the year.
that yeah, last week of the year, and it's like literally 4 blocks away from where I live. So I'm so excited. Um, yeah, it's time to. I guess London, Seoul. We have differences on too. I mean, I think both teams kind of because London both teams lost to Hangzhou to end their stage
It's true.
in disappointing fashion. One was Seoul to not even make stage playoffs, and one was for London to just get kicked out of stage playoffs right away. So both were disappointing, but I mean, I think both teams have tons of talent there
Abs-
too. They just, I
Absolutely.
mean, they're better than they're clearly. We agree they're better than most people, like 7 through 20, and can beat them. But I don't think. I think they're having trouble. I think they would have trouble against the top four that we have right now. Um, I guess Soul's played the Gladiators before and played them very close though. So yeah. I mean, anything else to say about these? They've got tons of talent. Their Korean rosters. They've got history,
For sure,
and
yeah. It's like I said, it's interesting that we ended up with those same tiers, but yeah, this top six I think is hard to argue.
yeah, I agree. We'll see. We'll see how stage three goes, but it's looking like it'll be like the same meta. So, um, before we go, I do want to talk about just to go on a little rant here because everyone, I mean, everyone's upset if goats happen stage three, and the common complaint I've heard is like, is guess we all know who's going to be in the finals again, right? It's going to be Shock Titans again. Everyone's saying that. Um, but as a sports fan, like it feels kind of weird to just like to say like yeah, oh, it's just going to be them again. Like it because as a sports fan, things never change in a season. Like the rules are always the same, the strategies are always the same. Yet like halfway through the season, we don't just say like, oh, it's going to be these two teams. They're the best right now. Like, that must be like teams get better throughout the season and improve, especially at goats,
Yeah,
and eventually like get as good as the best teams, and that they're possibly able to take them down. And sometimes those really good teams, and this would be the Shock and the Titans, sort of start to falter a little bit, or maybe get tired, or fatigue starts to set in for them, or things just start to even out. Like anything can happen. There doesn't have to be changes to the heroes within the game because people can change, players can change, teams can change, people can get better, coaches can get better, strategies can be made. I wouldn't just like throw like I wouldn't just close my computer and say, "Well, I'm not watching Overwatch League again because I know what's going to happen." Like it's not just guaranteed because the patch is the same. I would say that to any of the viewers who are thinking of giving up because they know what's going to happen. Because I don't think you do. I think anything can happen.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it'll at least be interesting enough to watch. How about that? That's the
yeah.
goal.
And honestly, I even if Shock Titans happens again, like I don't think I'm gonna be upset because this has been very fun to watch, honestly. And we have a tied 1-1 like overall between the two so far in these stage finals. So if it happens again, like this is sort of like this is the tiebreaker match, you know? Like I wouldn't mind seeing it, especially if like we get a huge patch that's like maybe the actual GOATS ender and we know it's gonna like imagine going into stage 3 grand finals and we like know that GOATS is gonna be done because this PTR patch has come out that's like maybe it's like 2-2-2 roll lock or something like that. It's crazy is happening in this league. Like and we know GOATS is gonna be over. It'll be cool to like see it all culminate kinda at the end. Um but anything can happen. Watch Overwatch League. Who cares? Um,
It'll be good.
anything? Yeah. Anything else to say about our power rankings before we sign off until next week?
I don't think so. You can see him on Twitter, I guess.
Yes, you can see them on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, if you'd like to follow our individual accounts, mine is at JWGeorgeIV. Joe's is at Kirkpatrick_Inc. That's INC. Go to our Twitter, the podcast's Twitter at On the Flank Show to see those power rankings and a nice graphic Joe has made. You can also see our MVPs there. You can also see our predictions, which we will get back on to next week, right, Joe? Because
Yep.
yep, next week. I'm excited to pick more winners. Yeah, you can tweet at us if you want us to talk about a topic. You can email us on theflankshow@gmail.com as well. You are listening to this in one way. If you want to listen to it in a different way, you can go to ontheflank.podbean.com on your internet browser. You can go to my personal YouTube channel, which is John George. You're most likely going to be finding that best on my Twitter. I have a link to it on there. You can listen to us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you next week.